to comment. It's on the table back there, Drew. On the table there, right there at the door.
Would you like me to step out in the hall and make that announcement?
Please, if you would. Mary's out there.
And I think there's a couple out there that's going to sign up. If they reflect my comment. No.
Two-headed, is it?
I nominate.
It's 6:30. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Gracious and loving God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings that we enjoy. Lord, we thank you for this county and for the citizens and their interest in the betterment of lives for everyone. Lord, we ask that you guide and direct the actions of this board and direct the activities to where we meet the needs of the citizens of this county. Guide and direct everything we do and say. These things we ask in your holy name. Christ's sake, amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Prince. The purpose of this hearing tonight is for the first segment of it is for the fire tax. And we've got a few ground rules for the meeting that I'm going to read right quick here before we get started. I want everyone to attend the fire tax and budget public hearing tonight. As always, we encourage citizens to participate. Before we get started, there are a few items I would like to address. When you come to the podium to speak, please state your name and address for the record. Each individual will be limited to 3 minutes. When the timer buzzes, please close your comments. The board will not tolerate any disruptive behavior throughout this process. Please voice your opinions respectfully, only when you are called upon to speak. Any persons who disrupt this meeting will be called upon to stop, and if the person does not stop, we have authorized law enforcement to remove the person from the building according to the general statute 143-318-318-17, which reads, a person who willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts any official meeting and who, upon being directed to leave the meeting by the presiding officer, willfully refuses to leave the meeting is guilty of a Class 2 misdemeanor. Just a few rules and regulations to follow tonight and have a good, productive meeting. We're going to open the first hearing up to the fire tax comment period of that. First off, we'll call Greg Walker. Over here, Greg.
How you gentlemen doing tonight?
Good. Need your name and address.
My name is Greg Walker. I'm in the Higgins Fire District, or Glade Creek Fire District. I'd like to say one or two of you up here, the new county manager, Mr. Osborne, Bob Irwin. I'm glad y'all got a little gonads about yourself. I wish the rest of the board did, including you, Evans. But, you know, nobody in Glade Creek's got nothing against the fire department. We got against the way they spend their money. All I got to say about the fire tax. We all support the fire department. Just want somebody to look over how they're spending it. Parties, fences they put up. Somebody needs to look over where they spend their money. These two or three of you here, I really appreciate what you're doing. And you're halfway, John Irwin, halfway, but the rest of you, County Manager, Osborne, Bob Irwin, I really appreciate what y'all doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for comment, Mr. Walker. Next up is Heath Edwards.
How are y'all doing? My name's Heath Edwards. I live in Lazy Branch. I'm in Glade Creek District as well. I just want to thank y'all for the opportunity to speak, and I want to thank all our firefighters because I work with them on a daily basis. In EMS, if it wasn't for them, it makes our job really, really difficult. So with that being said, there are some issues I have with the plan to do the fire tax. I have no issue with them trying to get as many funds as they can. They need it. They need it to serve our districts, and they should advocate for themselves and their district. The problem I have is with the way that things are being carried out. Rural fire protection districts are bound by North Carolina statute to hold district-wide votes for a fire tax. Just want to know when our districts were changed to service districts to allow for this. This is something that's been left out of the discussion surrounding fire tax and has not been made as public as it should have been. People in this county have had their votes subverted by this Board of Commissioners. Secondly, last year we just experienced a tax hike on our property taxes, and we still spent more money than we should have because we received a notice from the state that our fund balance was too low. This is due to the dramatic overspending that occurred under this board's watch. While this crisis has been averted, mainly due to a change in management of the county, spending is still a problem that this county needs to address. After years of overspending on other programs, this board is ready to push off the responsibility of funding our local fire departments. I'd rather add another tax than do the tough job that we elected them to do and fund these departments through the county budget. According to the county budget proposal, fire departments combined asked the county for approximately $471,000. Under the new fire tax, funds going to the fire department is $645,804. Again, I don't blame the fire departments. They need the funding as much as they can get. But there's still much in the budget that can be cut to allow us to fund our fire departments without a new tax. On my final note, one of our county services has been left out of this discussion, and that's the rescue squad. This department will not receive any funding from the new fire tax and saw their appropriation from the county cut by $22,000, putting the funds they receive at only $25,000. While the rescue squad provides services to the entire county, such as rope rescue, high angle rescue, swift water rescue, I could go on of all the rescue services they provide. They're also our backup ambulance for the county. Why are we allowing all the fire departments to be funded by a new tax and neglecting a service that provides so many services to our entire county? If this service is not funded and eventually goes away, it will force the county to fund additional ambulances or the fire departments to spend even more money to fund their own ambulances that must be staffed by at least EMT basics. I seriously hope that the board will consider everything I've had to say. If you don't, November will be here very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Fang Alfred. Evening.
I'm here more or less for a little bit of housekeeping. What I mean by that is March 11th, you guys came out to the Glade Creek Firehouse, had a meeting, and I think one of you, I don't know who it was, but you had stated that no one has came to you about issues with Glade Creek. Well, that's false. So I'm just trying to back up a little bit and refresh your memory, if I will. A couple of years ago, I met with Mike James, not on one occasion, not on two occasions, but on 3 occasions, about issues. I came to you guys in front of this board twice about same issues. And here more recently, I met with your new, and the day that he attended the first day in office, I met with him. Not once, but twice. And I think a third time. So, you know, I have a bad memory too. That's fine, I get it. But it's not that bad. You guys remember this? Got one, yes. I got two. Well, I put you in the hot seat, okay? And I did this for a reason. Now, we at Glade Creek, we have a lot of interest in what's going on with our community. There's a lot of people who have interest in that. We don't want money wasted. We don't want that. We can't afford it. Can't afford it anymore. I think you guys realize that more than anyone. You look at the numbers every day, and you're trying to figure it all out. I look at the numbers, and I see that the fire department has spent, on average, $10,000 a month for the last 10 years. That's in the millions. That's well over $1 million right there. I'll see the same numbers. Where's the money? Where's it at? Can't afford it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Keegan Alford. See. Good, and you?
So my name's Keegan Alford. I live in the Glade Creek district. So my issue with the whole fire tax issue is going to be accountability. So right here I have a pretty interesting document that I got from the finance office just down the hall. And as looking through, and I found some missing numbers here. Glade Creek district has about, go ahead and round up, we'll say approximately $10,000 missing from their annual budget. Their subtotal is $11,688.18. Well, pouring over it, you'll find there's a missing $9,903.75. And there's also, if we flip on back here, a copy of the check. Now you can find this down the hallway. It was signed by Tina Rector and Hugh Ray Shepard. Now my whole issue is I want to know where that money goes. Okay, if I'm going to be paying an extra whatever you guys decide for the fire tax, I want to know where my money goes. I want to know where my tax dollar is. And I have no problem with the fire tax at all. I think a department should be well funded, but I want to know where it's spent and what's being utilized. Also with the fire tax, I think you guys should utilize it to better suit, not really to better suit, how do I want to word this? I think you guys should actually incorporate more into a fire department. So you need to add more, you need to incorporate more, what's the word I'm looking for, more guidelines into it. So you need to look at, who's going to be serving that department, who's going to be allowed on that department, whether they have, a criminal record, whether they've done larceny or have a sexual offense history, which I do believe goes against North Carolina General Statute 143B-943. I think that's something you guys should look over too. Also, from the finance office, you can find more of Glade Creek spending. I don't think Glade Creek should be funded anymore if they're going to be spending all their money, on fences and running a nightclub next door to my house. That's my personal opinion. I think that's really all I have. I just want you guys to put more accountability into it. I think you guys do have a document here. Agreement for fire section. There is a general statute 58-87-7, oversight and accountability of grant awards. I think you guys should read into the guidelines of North Carolina a little bit more on that part too. I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Philip. Official? I'm sorry. Nothing, go ahead, Philip. Yeah. Couldn't make out the last name here.
Yeah, it's Dill.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hey, just coming up here to talk about the fire tax. I live right next to the community center, and they've been dumping a lot of money into that building. Like, they built a fence over there, they ripped out the cabinets, put in new stuff. Been pretty much running a nightclub over there during the summer for the bottomly workers. And he's also been using the fire truck coming over. It's been quiet lately, but it used to be like twice a day, sounding a siren, which was a violation in the fire code and all that stuff. But we've been seeing a lot of that. And then, like, I'm for a funded fire department, but for some like bad amounts of spending on stuff that they didn't really need. And there was an insurance claim that I'm pretty sure he never had a fireman's physical, but you know, he supposedly got hurt over at the fire department. Probably got hurt over his own farm, but that liability. And then we got kids running around at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they're having a party. Eventually somebody's going to get hit, and then the fire department's probably going to be liable for that as well. There's also a year ago, David decided to drag a car out in in the backfield, less than 100 feet away from the house, and decided to burn it as a training exercise without an air quality permit, fire permit. He just seems to think he can do whatever he wants and get away with it. That's pretty much the way it's been going. That's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bob Bamberg.
Bob Bamberg, editor of the Allegheny News, and I live in the Sparta Fire District. I wrote an article last week about this meeting, and my job was to provide y'all, the public, good information. And I able to do that. I pulled some figures off a document that I thought represented the appropriations for the fire department last year, and inaccurate. And I want to offer an apology to the commissioners. I want to offer an apology. It was unintentional. I think this is one of the most important meetings we've had in several years, and I didn't live up to that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
First time either.
This is all the names that we have wrote down. Is there anybody that hasn't spoke that would like to speak on the fire tax? Ask them outside, make sure everybody needs the privilege to speak. Thank you, sir. That being said, we're going to close out the fire tax hearing, and I'm going to read this resolution here, and then I'm going to call for a motion on it. This is a resolution. Allegheny County resolution to establish a fire service district, Whereas pursuant to the County Service District Act of 1973, General Statute 153A-301 through 153A-310. The Act. The Allegheny County Board of Commissioners may define one or more county service districts within the county. They assess taxes to pay for the provision of fire protection within the district. Whereas pursuant to General Statute 153A-302, Allegheny County Board of Commissioners held a duly advertised public hearing on May the 19th of 2020 for the purpose of receiving comments pertaining to the creation of the 5 fire service districts. Whereas pursuant to General Statute 153A-302, the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners made a report available for public inspections, including a map of proposed districts and a plan for providing services to the proposed district. And whereas in determining whether to establish the Allegheny County Fire Service District, the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners has considered the residents and seasonal population density of the proposed district, the appraised value of property subject to taxation, in the proposed district. The present tax rate of the county and any municipality in which the districts or any portion thereof is located, and the ability of the proposed district to sustain the additional taxes necessary to provide the services planned for the district. Therefore, be it resolved by the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners as follows. The Allegheny County Board of Commissioners does make the following finding based on the report provided to the board pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 153A-302. Number 2 is comments made at the public hearing. 3 is additional evidence and information received by the board. The demonstrable need for such services exist. It is impossible or impractical to provide those services on a countywide basis. It is economically feasible to provide these services in the districts without unreasonable or burdensome annual tax levies. There is a demonstrable demand for the proposed services by persons residing in the district. Number 2, based on the foregoing findings and in accordance with the Act, the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners does hereby define the following tax-supported fire service district for the provision of fire protection services as depicted in the attachment map, which is hereby incorporated. Cherry Lane Fire District, Glade Creek Fire Service District, Carl Springs Fire Service District, Piney Creek Fire Service District, and Sparta Fire Service District. I'd entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand.
I actually have a question I'd like.
Okay. Yes, sir. Hold off on the vote.
For clarification, this is going to begin with the taxing authority, go into place for fiscal year 2021.
The first.
Well, part of this discussion was to include a couple of pieces of a couple of items. One was a comprehensive plan from the fire departments towards to improve their insurance rating. And the other was, we have no contract. We're going to be creating a new contract with some elements in it. We don't have that as part of this. And because of that, I think we're getting our horse in the cart in front of the horse. I would rather and feel more comfortable if we had all of the elements that's involved in place before we authorize something that we don't really even have the details to.
This is just a resolution. We're not voting on the fire tax. This is a resolution to adopt this. We're in guidance, as far as I know, with everything from the school of government. Am I wrong?
Judge.
But this is a resolution to establish a fire service district.
Right.
This is not passing the tax tonight, our tax.
Details of the contract, Mr. Chairman, I do not believe would be involved in this process. Contract negotiations we've already brought it to the volunteer fire departments. That was a week ago tonight. They are aware that there will be new contracts coming down, which will require them to provide their financials, including their expenditures and income, to provide the plan to improve the fire ratings in their districts, and also requiring a twice-a-year declaration of the things that they have taken to meet the things that are in there for increasing their fire ratings. I believe tonight we are only doing the resolution, as it was explained to me by county manager, and that the fire tax vote will not be until our June meeting, the first meeting in June. So
All that'll be in place before we vote on the tax.
that's correct. The tax is not determined until the budget is done.
Right. The budget passes as well. Is that satisfactory?
No, because I believe the whole, part of the whole process. We're just dealing with part of the process. What Commissioner Irwin just relayed verbally, where did that come from? There's no contract for anybody to see.
Contract, at present, there is a contract. The
I've
contract.
seen it. Who has a copy of it? I've never seen it.
Contracts that exist right now were written with the volunteer to fire departments years ago. Now, as far as the financial disclosures that are required, that is in the bylaws of the Fire Commission that was dated in 2001, and I cannot remember the date. That is available. Who has found that and has provided it to me. I do not have a copy with me tonight. The fire departments have a copy. They're aware. That Fire Commission stipulates that all volunteer fire departments and the rescue squad must provide their financials by 15 May each year. So that exists in the bylaws of the Fire Commission.
Questions?
Like I said, I just,
Call a question, Mr. Chairman.
I don't see a new contract with any terms or anything that's been verbalized. That's all that we've had is verbalization. In that contract is where it's going to need to call out the financial oversight, what level to what degree. And this is all part of that. All a package deal. We may be voting on things in phases, but
That's what's taking place. The fire tax will not pass till the budget is voted upon, which is next month, which is June.
I'm not satisfied that we have enough work done to date forward with this. Nothing that's been stated satisfies that. Based on the plan that we agreed we would ask for and on a new contract.
We've already voted once on the fire districts. We approved the fire districts a month ago or whatever. Like Mark, that contract should have been available tonight as to what is going to be in the contract. I just want to be sure that if the fire tax passes, the contract is made public or made to the fire departments that they agree to it. What if they don't agree? What if 4 of them agree, 1 doesn't agree? 5 commissioners, as far as I know, haven't had any input into the contract, into a final version. There's been discussions, I think like John mentioned, and some of the speakers, that there needs to be an accounting of how the money is spent and an accounting of how the money comes in from the fundraisers or private individuals. And a week ago tonight, there was a fire commission meeting, and I had a chart that was done from David Osborne, who does several of the fire department's books. And if that form or a form very similar is followed, then that gives a trail of where the money was spent, a check number, a receipt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I just don't like committing to a deal. There's going to be a contract on down the road, and I'm just not sure if this resolution is dealing with that, with the accountability clause. And I think there was 2 or 3 different things, John, that came out of the fire commission. I don't know if they've been shared with the other commissioners yet.
Well, whenever we start a discussion, the contract, we will be sharing that, we will bringing it out, and we will be voting on it. The subject tonight is a resolution to establish. The contracts with the individual volunteer fire departments is a separate subject that we will discuss at a later time and have on a shoemate draw up the contracts, at which time they will be presented to the volunteer fire departments, and they will have their inputs. And I believe in the past meeting, you stated that if you were not satisfied or if a volunteer fire department did not agree to that contract, that they would not receive any fire tax funds. We can set the fire tax at a zero amount. That is the power of the commissioners. Now, you have been provided figures. The county manager 3 years ago requested that the fire departments submit their Form 990s. For those of you that are not familiar with Form 990s, it's an IRS document. It's basically the tax return of a nonprofit. If you read the Form 990, you know all the property that volunteer fire departments have. You know the depreciation. You know all the income. You know all the expenses because they are there. There is an enormous amount of documentation that is presented there. That's a Form 990. It's available online, by the way, to the public. Generally, it takes about 2 years for the IRS will complete their review and place it online. You can go on the internet and draw up any 501c3 for that. Now, the question that we have before us, are we going to establish a fire service district? Not a contract discussion. And, Mr. Chairman, again, I will call the question.
As
One more question.
I'm just reading the title of this, and I may be confused. Allegheny County Resolution to establish fire service districts. I thought we already did that.
Chairman,
Sir.
may I mention something? This is the same resolution the Board of Commissioners entertained at your March 16th, 2020 meeting. That meeting was approved 4-0. Recall, there was a problem with that because the public hearing had to occur prior to the adoption of that resolution. That is why that resolution is now here. It's in the same form that you considered in March.
It's the exact same resolution.
Same thing.
We just got ahead of the game at one point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving along. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? We're going to take a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 4-1. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to the next budget hearing. The public hearing will be on the budget. And first up is Mr. Greg Walker.
Greg Walker, Glade Creek District, Ennis, Glade Valley, North Carolina. I don't know where you got Mr. County Manager from, but you keep him up, keep doing what he's doing. If the rest of y'all had balls like he had, the county would be in damn good shape right now. But I really appreciate what he's doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Bleethan.
You can hear me here. Good evening, gentlemen. Andy Blethen, App Healthcare, and also resident of Allegheny County, Ennis. Appreciate y'all allowing me to speak this evening. Just want to talk a few minutes about your upcoming budget talks and how that will affect public health, which will ultimately affect the health and safety and overall living of the people in this county. Start with a few things. Our current proposed budget, 2021, is around $9.5 million. And that is for all three counties, Allegheny, Ashe, and Watauga. Of that budget, roughly $1.6 million, 17% will come from allocations from those three counties. The breakdown as proposed is 2% from Allegheny, 6% from Ashe, and 9% from Watauga. If you remember, in 2018, members of our three counties district, comprised of commissioners, county managers, and App Healthcare, developed a financial improvement plan, basically a 3-year plan for the small staggered increases to fund public health, which has in this country and in the state and in our district been dramatically underfunded for a long time. The money that we're requesting in Allegheny County, for every $1 that Allegheny County allocates to App Healthcare, we're providing $11 worth of healthcare services for people of all ages and demographics to provide a healthy and safe and a good quality of life that all our citizens deserve. But from a public health aspect, it is very important that we fund all the programs that we normally provide: clinic service, dental, behavioral health, which also includes things like opioid addiction, environmental health. You know, these are all the things that make a community worth living in and moving to, raising children, and continuing a good quality of life. As you know, COVID-19 has thrown a large wrench into the world. In fact, I think it's a little, I don't know if it's ironic or poetic that I'm speaking to you about public health budget during a worldwide pandemic we've not seen in over 100 years. This has caused a dramatic impact on our budget as it stands right now and what our proposed budget is. We are receiving, as the three-county district from the state, roughly $95,000. Okay, if you use this towards COVID response, you will get it. Because Ashe and Allegheny are a federally qualified healthcare system, we are able to tap into approximately another $677,000 that we can put towards COVID response for the citizens of Ashe and Allegheny County. You're aware the testing requirements announced by the state have dramatically increased. We're going to be testing a lot more people, and we're going to be doing so roughly 5% of the population each month. So by September in Allegheny alone, we are looking to test approximately 2,500 people. The cost of the test alone is $52. That does not take into account the cost of our staff, their time, mileage, postage, having to get sample kits to and from the labs. And we are looking at hiring a lot of additional staff to meet this challenge. We project that we'll be spending $490,000 just in Allegheny County for COVID testing pursuant to the state guidelines. Ashe and Allegheny, Ashe County is 3 times larger. So we're looking at $3 to $4 million in testing across our 3 counties alone. And here again, we're going to be bringing in just under $1 million at this time. So we serve as a federally funded healthcare center. We serve primarily uninsured patients. So the great burden of the cost of all this additional testing is going to fall on public health. And as a major proportion of those clients are not insured. It's about 4,000 people that we serve in Ashe and Allegheny through this FQHC. That's a lot of people that would not be able to get health care somewhere else. That's a lot of people that need to be healthy so they can go to work. That's a lot of people that need their children and their parents to be healthy so that they can go to work, so that our children can go to school, be healthy, to get a good education, to learn, be the next generation of leaders and people in this county to move it forward and get it, continue with the quality of life that we have. So I would just hope that this esteemed board would look at past commitments and what public health means to the community as a whole. Public health is one of the cornerstones of why our country is so great. If you look back in history, public health came along directly to combat communicable diseases. And the 1800s, the average lifespan was about 40, 45 years. In large part due to public health, it's now well over 75 to almost 80. And appreciate your time. We appreciate your support as always. And we look to, we simply want to provide the services that the citizens of this county and the other two that we serve, my home county, we want to provide those services to keep everybody healthy and safe and lead us on to a wonderful future.
Thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate what you do.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Terry Johnson.
Terry Johnson, retired dentist, cattle farmer, chair of Allegheny Lives. Excuse me. Allegheny Lives, so suicide awareness, prevention, post-completion suicide support. Just speaking to the public health needs, suicide is, I think, a very important one of the public health services here in Allegheny County. Nationally and locally, it comprises about 9th or 10th cause of death. In 2018, Allegheny County's rate was approximately 24, and 24 per 100,000. And North Carolina's average rate was 12.7, so our rate of 2018 is about double the state rate. And veterans, of course, in the U.S. die at about a rate of 22 a day. Numerous veterans here in the county. Of course, the VA has excellent services for veterans also. But one of the shocking statistics I ran across recently is in a 2019 public health survey of Allegheny County, in our high school, 9.1% of our kids actually have attempted suicide. Think of that, 9.1%. And 19.4% actually considered it. And even more shocking, in the middle school, almost 14% of our kids have attempted suicide. And then about twice that many, 28%, have had the ideation of considering it. So this goes back to a lot of different factors: family life, drugs, and a lot of the destructive things that are going on in our society. One effort that I have been made aware of in public health is the peer support specialist that they have, which is a gentleman who's been hired to work with people in prison who've been in there for drugs. He's got an inside-out DAD program where he helps to facilitate that person who's in there to work with the families. And those people are about 40% more likely to die of a drug overdose after they get out of prison. Daymark Services, of course, also have 24/7 services here in Allegheny County for people in need. And our MDs are also screening all of their patients for stress, depression, and suicide tendencies. So we are making progress, but I hope as y'all consider the budget that you will keep that in consideration, because I think it really is very important for our young people as well as our adults. Thank you very much for your work. You got a tough job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, Miss Rita Miller.
Evening. Full house tonight. Nice to see. So tonight I'm here to speak about the license plate agency and the proposed 2021 budget. Allegheny County entered into a contract to provide the license plate agency services in January of 2019 for a period of 8 years. During the budget process, I've met with Mr. Carter and the budget committee, and I mean no disrespect to them tonight by being here. Not at all. I know what a tough job it's been. I know what some of the request has been, and I for sure know where money comes from. So I do, however, ask that you take another look at the license plate agency budget. The proposed budget cuts the funding for our part-time position, which leaves one employee in the tag office. And having only one person will result in us having to be closed for lunch and vacations. The customers and citizens have voiced their appreciation that as a county-ran agency, the tag office operates on the same schedule as the other county offices. Excuse me. Many citizens use their lunch break to run their errands, such as getting their tag renewals, and it is a busy time in both the tag and tax offices. With only one employee, we would expect that there would be lines forming in our hallway, such as we had on Friday, waiting on us to open up after lunch, and of course, increased wait times and potential complaints. The busiest days are the first and the last days of the month, and those two will likely see increased wait times for customers. The DMV Standard Operating Procedures Agreement does not expressly cover staffing, but it does cover the expected wait time that no one should wait more than 20 minutes to be served in the license plate agency. Reimbursement that the county receives is based upon the number and the type of transactions that we do, so we want to provide the most efficient service that we can. Your current tag staff takes very much pride in the fact of the service they've offered over the last 17 months. And to my knowledge, there have been no complaints to DMV or to the county leaders. So I would ask that if you could find a way to approve staffing at the same level that we had last year for a part-time position, Mr. Cole Edwards, who is our license plate agency supervisor, myself, and I think the citizens also would graciously appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak or address the budget part of the hearing? Anybody outside in the hall? Everybody good? Okay. That being said, we'll close out the public hearing. I want to thank everybody for coming. That concludes our meeting tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming out and speaking, addressing the issues. We certainly appreciate it. It's been a productive meeting. Thank y'all. And
Are we going to set a budget meeting for next week?
I would encourage you to have a work session, whether you set that tonight or at a future date, but absolutely.
we'll just set it in a few days. Yeah. Okay with you? I call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor? Raise your right hand. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.